We are back tonight with another edition of Logician Tim Learns with me, your host, Logician Tim. Tonight we're going to be going over the last little bit of The Witcher. I'm going to be giving my final report card, giving some grades out, handing out some grades. Let's do this. I like to break these things down into different categories. And so in the character creation side of things, I did give it an 8 out of 10 because I enjoyed the character creation in The Witcher RPG. If you remember correctly, there were 7 steps to creating your character. You had to first pick your race, run a life path, pick your profession, pick your statistics, select your pickup skills, get your money, and then outfit yourself. My favorite part about character creation was the life path section. This was where you would roll based upon your race, and it would start filling out kind of everything for you. Each one of these would start picking out everything from, where you're from to, if your family's still alive, and if not, what happened to them? Are your parents still alive? If not, what happened to them? And you keep rolling the dice and moving on, and you find out, okay, what was my family's fate? What happened to them? I'll roll another D10. It's going to give me that information. My parental fate. What happened to my parents? My family status. I roll another dice. It's going to tell me that. And I mean, it just tells you everything. Your friend, your siblings, like I said, is very important. Life events, if you had fortune or misfortune in your life, your allies and your enemies, romance, your personal style, all these type of things were figured out in this life path section very quickly, just with some roll of the dice. It's really in depth and it gives you a lot of information, but it didn't take long to do. You're just rolling these D10s and it gives you this really in-depth backstory. And I just thought that was just a really cool feature. Now, my least favorite part about character creation is the outfitting. There's just too much crap. After you're done, you created your character, and now you've got to buy all this general gear, and they have like hundreds of items. It just seems like it would take forever for everybody to shop for things and pay for them and might subtract this out of my stuff. At the end of it, I feel like I wouldn't end up with the things that I needed. I feel like no matter what I got, I would still forget very important things. That's why I dinged it a little bit. So character creation got 8 out of 10. Now in character customization, what was cool about that, I gave it a 9 out of 10. The coolest part to me was picking the different skills and the skill trees that are available to you. Now, if you remember, each profession gets 3 different skill trees to kind of pick from and work through. They can go all into one or mix and match and become kind of a jack of all trades. This would allow you to have more than one profession in the group and each one still be unique and able to play and have strengths and weaknesses. Now in character progression, it did get a little bit of a hit because there's no levels. There are no levels in The Witcher. So leveling is really based on your skills. You get these things called IP points, improvement points at the end of a campaign. And so the GM is going to assign you these points and you're going to use those points to level up your skills, but it takes a lot of them. And if you only get 5 to 8 these improvement points per session, then it's going to take you forever to skill up just one skill point. I started feeling that your leveling skills would be secondary to just finding gear. So the gear in here is so powerful. The relics and the magic items and the focus items that you get in this game are super powerful. Far better than leveling up your skill 2 points. Finding this relic sword or this focus staff is going to make you crazy more powerful than leveling. I think it's just very gear centric. You're not really leveling up your character as far as progressing per se, gaining experience points, but you're really more just finding items. And I think that's why I dinged it a little bit there. We're going to start talking about the mechanics. The ease of mechanics really took a hit. It's a very complex system, so they got a 5 out of 10. The mechanics are very, very complex, even though they say that you only need a D6 and a D10 to play it. My favorite part about the mechanics were the critical wounds, where you can damage someone. You can damage them so bad that they're permanently damaged even after they go to a doctor. I also like the way they added the verbal combat, where you can argue with people, and if you win, you've convinced them to your argument, to your side, and if you keep working on them on several arguments, you can actually win them over as being a friend and being somebody that would do anything for you, almost like blood brothers. Now, my least favorite part about combat mechanics was needing to roll on, seems like everything. It seems like you have to roll on everything. Do you want to run on ice? Well, roll to see if you're going to fall. Do you want to swing a sword on a horse? Well, you're going to have to roll an extra time to see if you're still standing, or if you see if you fell off the horse. It seems like you're going to be doing extra rolls all the time for some of the smallest things instead of focusing on the story. Now, if you look at the originality or the cool factor, like I like to call it, just original things in the game, I didn't find a whole lot that stood out as, wow, that's fantastic. I didn't see anything like that. But the amount of thought that went into every little detail and all the different things that are available in the mechanics, that really made up for it. There's a lot of attention to detail in the world that it seems very, very unforgiving, but it makes it more realistic. And so that's why it's still got a 9 out of 10 on that originality cool factor, just because of everything put together comes up with this really cool factor thing. If we go down to depth, now, of course, this is where, ease and depth kind of sometimes are on opposite sides of the scale, and you're seeing that here. There's just so much to this game. They put so much into this game, making it feel realistic. Lighting conditions can modify your combat rolls. Terrain, what you're fighting in, the area that you're fighting in can affect how much awareness that you have, which will affect your rolls. So you lose on this easy factor, but you definitely gain on this depth of play. So definitely got a 10 out of 10 there. So they're overall for mechanics, they got an 8 out of 10. Now, as far as narrative goes, I gave it a 9 out of 10. The storyline in The Witcher is nothing short of fascinating. For somebody that never played the video games like me, the idea that I'm not going to be out there saving the world and uniting the world under some one magic or something like that. I'm going to be forced into fighting because my friend was kidnapped or somebody burnt down my city. And I don't necessarily want to fight, but I have to. And I just think that it makes it feel more authentic and more immersive to me. The game is very, very sandbox, allowing the players freedom to run the games however they want with very little framework. They do provide one short session, I guess you would call it, that's ready to go, that helps new players have some place to start, but I really haven't seen much else available as far as other sessions or other quests or anything like that. Having a lack of framework and a lack of quests set out in front of me, it's kind of intimidating as a new player or a new GM for sure, like myself. So I would just like a little bit more framework on maybe how to create your own stories in the book. I think if they could have beefed that a little bit, but they did get a 9 out of 10 just because the world is so awesome. Now leads us to our last section here on value. And now their value was very high, 9 out of 10, 336 pages for $45 for the hard book. That came out to 13 cents per page. If you're buying the PDF, it's even cheaper. It's at 7 cents a page because it's only 25 bucks. I think that's very affordable. Very good value. And if you look at the content of what you get, like I said, 336 pages, the book is crammed full of content. Very heavy on the different items that are available to you in the world, as well as the different monsters in the bestiary, which I really didn't get a chance to show you last time, but I want to flip through there really quickly. Now I did find one here, where on page 294 they had this Indrega, and they put a low-res image in here, so it's very pixelated. It looks like it was, it's probably supposed to be like this big, but it's now a full page and it's very pixelated, so somebody in pre-press mess that up. Now we're just speaking about the artwork, and the artwork in the Witcher RPG is nothing short of sublime in this book. With access to all the artists and things that made the video games, they didn't disappoint in this area, and they took full advantage of all the assets that they had available to them and their resources. The art in this book is not just thrown in there for a wow factor. It's not like, oh wow, look at this art. No, each piece truly helps tell us about the different sections of the book in which they're found. So yeah, the art is nothing short of just 10 out of 10. It's absolutely incredible. Go out and get it now just for the art. If you like cool artwork, this stuff is just beautiful, and it's worth the price. It's 45 bucks. Now, if you look at the last little section here is the layout. And I said this on the first stream, the glossy finish of the book is just way too much for me. I know it makes the art look a lot more saturated and a lot better, but the distracting glare, it just makes reading the book a pain. I mean, you're constantly twisting and turning the book, trying to find the right angle that the glare isn't hitting you, and it makes it a total pain. And it really sucks for me because almost everything else in this book is so amazing that the gloss finish just really made it a chore to read, is what I should say. Not a pain, but a chore to read. That, and then the pages need to be a little bit thicker of stock, in my opinion. But besides that, I found the book to be very well laid out. There were a few small sections that seemed like they were out of place and just sort of, you know, smashed in somewhere. But overall, it was very well organized, and I really enjoyed the charts and how everything was broken up into digestible parts. Layout it's got a decent score. I gave it a 7 out of 10 for the layout, just because it's so distracting with this glossy finish, and the pages are just a little bit thin for me. When I average everything out on The Witcher RPG, it gives us an overall score of 8.5 out of 10, 8.5 out of 10. And so that's not too bad at all. That's a really nice go out and get it now score for me. And I was kind of surprised when I added everything out. I thought it would be another point. But if you round that up, like I do pretty much everything else, it would have been a 9 out of 10. And that seems like it's very well in line with the way I think of the book as a whole and how valuable this book is to me. Just after reading it, I got so much out of this, and just learning how RPGs work and learning how complex an RPG can be and still remain seemingly playable. So that's pretty much it for The Witcher RPG. My favorite part about all of this is learning more and then sharing it with you all. So I love reading the books. I love diving in deep and figuring out how it all works. Anyway, that's it for me tonight. I will see you all next time. Bye.